Exploration of the New World. How the discovery of the Americas changed world history forever. Day 1. Exploration in the Americas was very different from exploration in Asia and Africa for one big reason. Although it started for economic purposes just like exploration elsewhere, exploration in the Americas began with colonization also. There was lots of beautiful land. As far as the English could tell specifically, it looked like there were very few people living here at the time, so they decided to settle in right away. When Spain and Portugal first came to Mesoamerica and South America, they found large amounts of gold and silver. We talked about how the Aztecs and the Incas had so much money that it was basically just thrown into the lake for the Incas. The Spanish quickly decided they wanted to trade like they were doing in Asia and like they were going to do in Africa to a degree. But trade didn't work as well with the Native Americans. Money meant a lot less to them than it meant to some other cultures, and so when trade failed, conquest began, which leads to the conquistadors that we talk about in 6th grade. Now, if there's one thing I really like, it's sugar. I've had lots of friends and family try to convince me to use artificial sweeteners. So far, I've not found a single one that I really like. The Spanish quickly realized that sugar would go really well in the Caribbean, where Columbus had first discovered. When they discovered that sugar grew so well, they decided to build really big plantations, or large farms, to harvest all the sugar they were growing. At that point, they began to colonize, and people began to live on the plantations, and they realized they needed workers, and they wanted workers that would work cheap, free, in other words. And so they decided to enslave the natives, the Native Americans. Unfortunately, like we talked about earlier, the Native Americans were getting sick from smallpox and other things, and most of the Native Americans died really quickly. And at that point, the Spanish decided to replace them with African slaves, which is going to become the common type of slave during this time. Tomorrow, when we talk about the English and the French, I'll explain to you that the English and the French valued allowing their colonists some say in government. The Spanish and the Portuguese saw very little reason to give the colonists any say, though. Instead, the king was in complete control of all the Spanish and Portuguese colonies. Now, because the king couldn't go over and control the colonies individually, what he would do is he would appoint a viceroy or a royal representative to govern the colony. The most famous viceroy in history now would probably be the man on the screen, Newt Gunray, the viceroy of the Trade Federation. However, please realize they rarely had big green heads and little green hands. When we discussed colonization in Asia and exploration of Asia, I explained that the Christian priests decided to share their religious beliefs with the Asian cultures. The Spanish and the Portuguese did decide to spread their religion, which was Roman Catholicism, amongst their colony, but it was not a major goal for the Spanish and Portuguese. Instead, it was an added bonus. Yes, they believed that the Indians should believe in God, but as long as they had slaves, they were happy at first. This will change, and the mission will become an important part of Spanish-American life later. This is a picture of a mission